Coco Gauff reveals how second-set comeback led to round 2 win in Cincinnati Open. Coco Gauff's 2025 Cincinnati Open campaign began with a hard-fought win, as the world number 2 overcame early struggles on serve to move past Wang Xingyu and into the round of 32. The victory came in straight sets, but the match was far from flawless for the 21-year-old American. Gauff committed 8 double faults, an issue that has dogged her throughout the season, and at times appeared frustrated when her first serve deserted her. Despite those setbacks, she found a way to adjust, and a crucial momentum swing in the second set allowed her to pull away. After the match, Gauff addressed the home crowd with a smile, expressing her happiness to be back in a city that holds special memories. "It feels great to be back in Cincinnati," she said. "2 years ago, I won here and set me up for a great 2 weeks in New York. This tournament means a lot to me. I was happy to see the improvements and to be back here in Cincy." When asked about how she managed to steady herself after a shaky start, Gauff pointed to a shift in perspective that came midway through the second set. "I think it was just trusting myself and the work we've put in during practice," she explained. "In the second set, I was able to let go, and I think just try not to focus on the past, knowing that I can't control it, and just trying to do better for the future. I'm happy I was able to change that mindset around." Gauff's serving problems have been one of the most discussed aspects of her 2025 season. She has produced double-digit double faults in several matches and has sometimes lost momentum because of them. Still, she has shown that she can overcome those struggles when it matters most. Just last month in Paris, she faced similar difficulties but managed to win one of the biggest titles of her career by leaning on her defense, court coverage, and ability to win long rallies. Interestingly, she's also found serving success in doubles. In Montreal, her serve looked far more reliable, something she credited in part to tournament officials accommodating a specific request regarding her doubles schedule. That success, however, hasn't yet translated fully to singles. For now, her focus is on taking it one match at a time in Cincinnati. While Wang Xingyu had beaten Gauff earlier in the year, the American made sure history didn't repeat itself, using her speed and tactical adjustments to neutralize Wang's baseline power. Looking ahead, Gauff knows her serving inconsistency could make her vulnerable to an upset, particularly against aggressive returners. But if she can weather the early rounds and build momentum, she'll once again become one of the most dangerous players in any draw. The home crowd support in Cincinnati and soon in New York is another factor she believes can lift her game when the pressure rises. "I've learned not to panic," Gauff said. "Tennis is about problem solving, and sometimes the solution is just playing the next point with a clear mind. That's what I tried to do today." Though she may not be the odds-on favorite at the U.S. Open, dismissing her chances would be a mistake. Gauff has already shown she can dig deep when the situation demands it, and as she proved in Cincinnati 2 years ago, a strong showing here can be the spark for an even bigger run on the sport's grandest stage. The crowd at the Lindner Family Tennis Center had been loud all evening, but as Coco Gauff stood at the baseline midway through the second set, the energy shifted. She was trailing down a break, and her opponent, a fierce, unseeded challenger with nothing to lose, was swinging freely, landing winners in the corners, and threatening to push the defending champion out of the tournament earlier than anyone expected. It wasn't the script Gauff had envisioned for her opening match in Cincinnati. She had started strong, taking the first set 6-3 with controlled aggression, precise serving, and a forehand that crackled off the racket like summer lightning. But in the second set, things unraveled. A couple of misjudged returns. A double fault at the wrong time. Her opponent's confidence swelling with each point won. By the time she found herself staring down a 4-2 deficit, Gauff admitted later, she had a decision to make. "I had 2 options," she said in her post-match interview, leaning against the sponsor backdrop, still flushed from the fight. "I could panic and try to finish points too quickly, or I could settle in, trust my legs, and make her earn every single point. I chose the second one." That mental shift, quiet, invisible to anyone watching, was the turning point. She slowed her breathing before each return. She lengthened rallies instead of trying to end them with low-percentage shots. The next game, she chased down a drop shot, slid into a backhand pass down the line, and raised her fist toward the stands. The crowd roared. "That point was everything," Gauff later explained. "It reminded me that I'm not just a power player. I can defend. I can grind. That's when I started to feel like, okay, this set isn't over." From there, the comeback took on a rhythm. She broke back with a forehand return that clipped the line, confirmed by a challenge that sent the crowd into another frenzy. The scoreboard read 4-4, but the momentum had tilted entirely in her favor. Her opponent, once so loose, started to press. Gauff, sensing blood in the water, elevated her first serve percentage and mixed in a few clever serve and volley plays to keep her guessing. "When you're chasing a set, you've got to be unpredictable," she said. At 5-4, Gauff's confidence was undeniable. She earned match point after a brutal 22-shot rally, punctuated by a forehand winner, so clean it froze her opponent mid-step. The final point was vintage Gauff, a deep, skidding backhand cross-court that forced an error. She dropped her racket, let out a long breath, and smiled, the kind of smile that comes from pulling yourself back from the edge. The final score read 6-3, 6-4, but the numbers didn't tell the whole story. That second set was a test, not just of skill, but of resilience. "This match reminded me that tennis isn't about playing perfect all the time," Gauff said. "It's about figuring things out when you're not at your best. I wasn't happy with parts of my game in that second set, but I'm proud of how I fought to turn it around." Her coach, Brad Gilbert, echoed the sentiment from the stands after the match. "She's learning how to manage those tricky patches. Everyone goes through them. The champions are the ones who problem solve in real time." The Cincinnati crowd, many wearing Team Coco shirts, seemed to sense they just witnessed one of those defining in-match adjustments that separates great players from the rest. After all, defending a title isn't just about replaying last year's magic. It's about finding new ways to win when things go sideways. With a win, Gauff booked her place in round 3 and kept her quest for back-to-back Cincinnati titles alive. But perhaps more importantly, she left the court with a reminder of her own adaptability, a weapon as valuable as any forehand or serve. Before leaving the stadium, a young fan called out from the rail, "Coco, how did you do it?" Gauff paused, grinned, and said, "Stay calm, stay in the fight, and never, ever count yourself out." The lesson was simple, but on a humid Ohio night, under the bright lights of a tense second set, it made all the difference.